to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where tonight you will wander into the Hidden Garden Café, a quiet place tucked between the world you know and the dreams that wait for you. For now, let yourself arrive. Feel the surface beneath your body supporting you. Your shoulders can soften, your jaw can loosen, your hands can uncurl, fingers resting easily wherever they have landed. Take a slow breath in, letting the air fill your chest in a gentle wave. Pause at the top. Then let it slip out long and unhurried, as though you are sighing away the day. You are safe here. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be, except here, drifting slowly toward rest. As you breathe, imagine night settling over a quiet town. The streets are hushed, windows glowing softly, and somewhere hidden down a narrow lane, there is a tiny cafe you have never noticed before. Tonight, you will find it. Inside, candlelight will flicker against stone walls, a garden will bloom under glass, and the gentle murmur of distant rain will accompany you as you rest. Let your breath deepen once more, in through the nose slowly, like the tide creeping up a shore, out through the mouth, like a warm breeze through tall grass. If any thoughts try to tug at you, you do not need to fight them. Just picture them as small leaves on a stream, drifting past, carried away by the current. You do not have to follow. You can stay here at the edge of sleep while the world grows soft around you. With your body growing heavier and your mind growing quieter, you begin to sink into the story. A gentle step into another place, another time. And as you cross that threshold, the story shifts, and it is no longer about you alone. Now there is a traveler. The traveler arrived just after dusk, when the sky still held a little color like watercolor washed thin by the evening. The town around them was familiar in that faintly dreamlike way, as though they had walked its streets before in another life or in a memory from childhood that had never quite belonged to them. Lamps glowed along the cobbled road, each halo of light blurred at the edges by a tender mist. They walked without urgency, hands tucked into their coat, feeling the cool breath of the night upon their face. The day behind them had been long, filled with errands and voices and an endless ribbon of small tasks. Yet as they wandered now, a quiet curiosity unfurled inside them, like a flower opening in the dark. The traveler passed a bookshop with its windows already dim, a little bakery closed for the night, and a fountain where water whispered over worn stone. The air smelled faintly of rain and distant chimney smoke. Somewhere, a bell chimed, its notes carrying lightly over the rooftops and fading into the sky. As they turned down a lane they did not remember choosing, the town narrowed. The houses on either side leaned closer, their balconies nearly brushing. Vines climbed up old brick, small leaves glistening with dew. The stones underfoot were uneven, softened by time and countless footsteps. It was there, at the quiet heart of that lane, that the traveler saw the door. The door sat in a wall of pale stone, half hidden by a curtain of ivy. It was slender and tall, painted a deep shade that hovered somewhere between green and blue, the color of forest shadows just before dawn. In its center was a small brass plaque, gently glowing in the lamplight. The plaque read, "The Hidden Garden Café." The traveler paused. They were certain they had walked this town before, certain they would have noticed a place like this. Yet the name felt both new and known, like a melody heard in a dream. A soft warmth drifted out from beneath the door, carrying with it scents of baked bread, tea, and something floral and delicate, like jasmine carried on a summer breeze. Without quite deciding to, the traveler reached out and touched the door. It opened at once, with no creak, only a soft sigh, as if it had been waiting. Inside, the cafe glowed with the gentle light of late evening. Candles rested in small glass holders on each table, their flames steady and calm. The walls were stone, but they were softened by shelves full of books, jars of tea leaves, and tiny potted plants whose leaves spilled over like green waterfalls. Most of all, there was the garden. The back half of the cafe was covered by a high, curving ceiling of glass. Beyond it, night spread out like a velvet cloak, but inside the arch, a hidden garden flourished. Lanterns hung from branches and archways, each one glowing softly like captive stars. Ivy traced delicate patterns along trellises. Flowering vines climbed skyward, their petals open to the night. A gentle sound of water came from somewhere within the greenery, the slow trickle of a small fountain. The air was cool and fragrant here, filled with earthy notes of soil and leaves, and the faint sweetness of blossoms. The traveler stepped inside, and the door whispered shut behind them, the outside world folding away with it. A figure appeared from behind a counter polished to a gentle sheen. They wore a soft linen apron, and their eyes held the kind of warmth that made strangers feel instantly welcome. "Good evening," the host said. Their voice was low and calm, as if they had spoken only to candlelight for many years. "You have found the Hidden Garden Café. Please take any table you like." The traveler looked around. Some tables sat close to the shelves, where quiet readers cradled steaming cups and turned pages slowly, as if the night had endless time. Other tables rested near the glass, where the garden leaned close. Leaves pressed softly against the barrier, as curious about the people inside as the people were about them. They chose a small table near the garden where a climbing rose had twined itself along the frame, its pale petals glowing softly in the lantern light. As the travelers sat, the chair welcomed their weight as though it had been made just for them. The wood, smooth and familiar beneath their fingers. On the table lay a menu handwritten in ink that flowed like water. The words were gentle and enticing: warm honey milk, lavender steam, moonlit tea with hints of citrus and vanilla. There were soft pastries filled with berries, delicate tarts glazed with dew-like sugar, and loaves of bread still breathing out the last warmth of the oven. The traveler did not need to decide alone. The host appeared again, as if summoned by their thoughts. "If you are not sure," the host murmured, "the cafe often knows what is needed. Tonight I would recommend the garden blend. It helps heavy days loosen their grip." The traveler nodded, trusting the quiet certainty in the host's voice. They ordered the garden blend and a slice of something that looked like a mixture of cake and bread, dappled with seeds and worn edges of caramelized crust. Then they settled back in their chair and waited, letting their gaze drift into the garden. Out in the green hush, the fountain came into view. Water rose in a slender column and fell in a soft, continuous veil into a shallow pool. Around it, moss spread like a velvety carpet, dotted with tiny white flowers that looked as if they had just landed from the stars. At the edges of the garden, small trees stretched upward, their branches bearing fruit that glowed faintly as though moonlight had soaked into their skin. The longer the traveler watched, the more the garden seemed to breathe. Leaves shifted with a wind they could not feel. Shadows melted and reformed, never quite the same. Somewhere within the foliage, a soft rustling suggested the presence of small, unseen creatures, unhurried and unafraid. When the tea arrived, it came in a clear glass pot, steam curling up in delicate spirals. Floating on the surface were petals in shades of cream and soft gold and tiny leaves that unfurled in the warmth. The scent rose gently, blending notes of chamomile, lemon balm, and something almost indefinable, like the air after rain in a forest. The host poured a cup for the traveler, the liquid catching the candlelight like captured sunset. "Stay as long as you like," they said. "In this place, time moves according to the heart, not the clock." The traveler lifted the cup, feeling the warmth against their hands. When they took the first sip, the flavors opened slowly, like petals. The taste was mild and soothing, with a whisper of sweetness and the faintest hint of mint. With every swallow, the tightness in their chest eased, unwinding into the soft air. Around them, gentle sounds wove together, the soft clink of porcelain, the delicate turning of pages, the quiet murmur of distant conversation. No voices were raised here, no hurried footsteps broke the tranquility. It was as if the cafe existed in its own pocket of night, untouched by rush or worry. At the next table, an elderly woman sat with a small notebook, her pen moving slowly across the page. Every now and then she would pause, look up at the garden, and smile faintly, as if remembering something sweet. Near the shelves, a young couple leaned over a chessboard, their movements slow and thoughtful, pausing often just to watch the lanterns sway in the invisible breeze. The traveler felt no need to speak. As they drank, they noticed something subtle and strange. The garden beyond the glass seemed to reflect more than just the night outside. When the traveler let their gaze soften, they could almost see shapes there. Not physical shapes, but impressions, moments. The faint echo of a strained conversation finally resolved, the warmth of a forgotten childhood afternoon, the weight of old worries lifting like mist. It was as though the plants had quietly gathered the unspoken feelings of every soul who had sat here and transformed them into leaves and blossoms, roots and petals. The garden held them all gently without judgment, turning everything into growth. The host returned once more and set down a small lantern on the traveler's table. "For you," they said. "The cafe likes to offer a light to those who are crossing between tiredness and rest." Inside the lantern, the flame was very small, almost shy, yet it burned steadily. The glass held a faint, swirling pattern, like frost. When the traveler looked closely, they saw something else in that tiny flame. It seemed to contain not only light, but scenes. A river glinting under moonlight, a field of tall grass bending in a slow breeze, a wide sky with drifting clouds. The traveler blinked and the scenes were gone, or perhaps simply melted back into the light. "What is this place?" they asked softly. The host tilted their head, considering. "It is a cafe," they replied, as though that explained everything. "It appears when someone needs a place to set their heart down for a while. Sometimes it is found at the end of a long day, sometimes at the beginning of a new chapter, sometimes in the middle of an ordinary evening that suddenly remembers how to be gentle. It always knows when it is needed." "Will I be able to find it again?" the traveler asked. "Perhaps," the host said, their eyes kind. "Though often, those who visit carry a piece of it with them. After that, they do not need the door quite as much." The traveler thought about that as they tasted the cake. It was soft and tender, with a faint crunch at the edge, flavored with honey, oats, and tiny seeds that popped gently between their teeth. Each bite felt grounding, as if it drew their thoughts down out of the tangled branches of worry and into the solid warmth of their body, right here, right now. Time moved quietly. Candles burned lower. Somewhere beyond the walls, the town shifted deeper into night, but inside the cafe, everything remained hushed and unhurried. The traveler finished their tea and let their eyes drift closed for a moment. The chair cradled them. The sounds became a muffled lullaby, and the scent of the garden wrapped around them like a soft shawl. In that small space between waking and sleep, something changed. The garden, answering a silent call, seemed to lean closer. A vine extended a little further along the glass, as if reaching for the traveler. The lantern light grew just a shade warmer. The air thickened with the quiet, vital scent of leaves, soil, and water. When the traveler opened their eyes again, they had the curious sensation that the cafe had moved, or perhaps that it had turned gently around them like a carousel sliding from one scene into another. Everything was still familiar, yet somehow more intimate, more luminous. The host appeared by their side carrying a small ceramic bowl. Inside, nestled among smooth stones, was a seed. "This is a gift from the garden," the host said. "Every visitor who stays long enough to listen to its silence receives one. You may plant it here if you wish, or take it with you. It will become what you need most." The traveler looked at the tiny seed, resting there like a drop of night. "What will it grow into?" they asked. The host smiled gently. "It might grow into a flower that blooms only when you are kind to yourself," they said. "Or a small tree that reminds you to stand tall and bend gently. It may grow into a plant that releases a soothing scent when you are restless, or leaves that rustle with the sound of distant waves when you feel far from peace. It understands the language of your heart, and it will answer in its own way." The traveler considered, feeling the slow ebb of their thoughts, the soft weight of drowsiness gathering behind their eyes. "I think," they murmured, "I would like to plant it here first." The host nodded as though this choice made perfect sense. They led the traveler through a door at the back of the cafe, out into the garden itself. Stepping into the garden was like stepping into the quietest, deepest part of the night. The air was cool and damp, with the breath of leaves. Lanterns hung from branches, casting soft, golden pools of light onto the moss. Somewhere nearby, water whispered as it flowed. There was a small patch of soil near the fountain, already prepared. The traveler knelt on the moss, feeling its softness cushion their knees. With careful fingers, they scooped a small hollow in the earth. They placed the seed inside. For a moment, nothing happened. The garden simply breathed around them, leaves whispering, lanterns glowing, water flowing. Then, very slowly, a small glow appeared beneath the soil, as if someone had lit a tiny candle underground. The light swelled, then softened, and the traveler watched, entranced, as a tender sprout pushed its way upward. It was a pale, translucent stem at first, then a soft green, unfurling leaf by leaf. The plant that emerged was unlike any the traveler had ever seen. Its leaves were shaped like little hands, each one veined with faint patterns of light. At the center grew a single bud, closed and serene. As the traveler watched, the bud trembled, then opened with a sound so soft it was barely more than a sigh. Inside, the petals were the color of early dawn, somewhere between lavender and rose. A gentle fragrance spread through the air, a blend of rain, clean linen, and the faintest touch of citrus. It was a scent that felt like relief, like letting go. As the traveler inhaled, something within them loosened further. Old worries they had carried like stones in their pockets seemed to dissolve, sinking into the moss. Thoughts that had knotted themselves tight began to unravel, thread by thread. "This plant," the host said quietly, "will live here. Each time you think of the cafe, each time you breathe deeply and allow yourself a moment of rest, it will bloom a little brighter. The connection works both ways. You do not need to find the door to be here. Your memory and your attention are enough." The traveler reached out and brushed their fingertips against the petals. They were cool and soft, and for a moment, the traveler glimpsed a memory. Themselves sitting at their own window back home, watching the sky fade, a cup in their hands, breathing slowly, feeling their heart grow quiet. The vision faded, but the feeling stayed. They rose from the moss and returned with the host to the cafe. Their steps were slow, their body heavy in a pleasant, grounding way. The lantern still waited on their table, its flame now a calm, steady glow. "May I stay a while longer?" the traveler asked. "As long as you like," the host replied. So the traveler did. They settled into the chair once more, resting their hands in their lap. They watched the gentle dance of shadow and light on the stone walls. They listened to the breathing of the garden, to the soft clink of cups, to the whisper of pages turning. Little by little, their thoughts grew slower. Little by little, their eyes grew heavier. The candles burned low, their flames shrinking into small, quiet embers. The lantern on the table flickered once, then steadied, its light comforting and soft. The garden behind the glass glowed like a dream half remembered yet deeply loved. Around the traveler, the cafe seemed to exhale, relaxing even further into the depths of night. The host moved quietly from table to table, collecting empty cups, straightening chairs, offering a gentle nod to anyone whose gaze met theirs. At last, the traveler let their eyes close fully. Their breathing slowed, matching the rhythm of the fountain's gentle spill, the rustle of leaves, the soft pulse of the lantern flame. The weight of the day slipped off their shoulders and sank into the moss, where it would be transformed into something new and gentle. Inside, their mind drifted. They did not need to follow every thought now. They could let them come and go like clouds passing over a calm lake. The cafe held them, safe and unhurried, a quiet harbor in the vast sea of the night. The host, seeing their stillness, dimmed the nearest candles even more. Shadows deepened, not with menace but with peace. The stone walls seemed to lean in, cozy and protective. In that dim, golden calm, the traveler rested. They did not notice when the cafe grew even quieter, when the last soft conversation faded, when the pages of the last book closed with a gentle whisper. They did not notice the host pausing by their table, offering one last, fond look, as if blessing their sleep. The night outside deepened, then grew soft around the edges, as if the world itself were drifting toward its own dream. The town streets hushed, windows darkened, and the lane leading to the Hidden Garden Café became still. The door, if anyone had been there to see it, shimmered faintly in the moonlight, then grew plain and unremarkable. Just another door among many. Yet inside the cafe remained. The garden continued to breathe, leaves opening and closing in their own long rhythm. The fountain kept its gentle flow, each drop a tiny lullaby. The lantern on the traveler's table burned low and low, slower and softer, until its light was no more than a faint glow, like a star resting behind veils of cloud. The plant in the garden, the one grown from the traveler's seed, shone with a quiet radiance. Each time the traveler's breath deepened in sleep, each time their body relaxed a little more, the petals unfurled just a bit further, releasing a tender fragrance into the cool night. The cafe was not empty. It was filled with stillness, with peace, with the quiet presence of dreams just beginning to form. Far away, or perhaps very near, the traveler's own room lay steeped in moonlight. Their body rested where they had settled in for the night. Blankets soft and warm around them, the gentle weight of sleep gathering like a cloud around their mind. If someone had looked closely, they might have seen the faintest hint of a smile at the corner of the traveler's mouth, as if they were listening to a distant fountain in their dreams. In that room, the air felt just a little sweeter, carrying the ghost of a scent that could not easily be named, a blend of rain, leaves, and quiet relief. The echo of the Hidden Garden Café carried across the bridge between waking and sleep. The traveler did not need to walk the cobbled street now. They did not need to open the hidden door. The cafe lived inside them, in the steady rhythm of their breathing, in the gentle slowing of their thoughts. In the soft way they began to forgive themselves for all the things left undone. As they drifted deeper, the images grew softer. Lanterns like distant stars, a garden under glass, a small plant blooming in the dim light, a host with kind eyes, saying without words that it was all right to rest, to release, to let the world spin on without them for a while. The night wrapped itself around the traveler, snug and enveloping. Breath by breath, their body grew heavier. Breath by breath, their mind grew quieter. There was no rush. The story had no sharp edges, no urgent turning points, only the unhurried glide of one moment into the next, like autumn leaves drifting down onto still water. The cafe remained, always at the edge of dreams, a place the traveler could return to whenever they needed. It would be there in the hush, between one breath and the next, in the quiet pause before sleep claimed them, in the gentle warmth of a cup held between their hands on a slow morning. And now as night deepens and the garden settles, the traveler sinks fully into rest. The lantern light fades to the softest ember. The fountain's whisper becomes a distant murmur. Leaves rustle once, then lie still. All is quiet. All is well. Let yourself follow the traveler now, if you wish. Let your body grow heavy, cradled by the surface beneath you. Let your breath move at its own slow pace, like water in the garden fountain. Thoughts can soften and blur, slipping away into the shadows at the edge of your awareness. There is nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to fix. You are simply here in this gentle space with the memory of a hidden cafe where the night is kind and the garden understands how to turn all worries into new growth. If any small thought tries to rise, you can imagine placing it gently on a mossy stone beside that fountain. You can trust the garden to take it from you, to hold it, to transform it into something lighter, something softer, something that no longer weighs upon your heart. Feel your eyes growing heavier now. Your jaw is loose and relaxed. Your shoulders sink downward, melting into the surface below. Your hands rest easily, fingers slack and peaceful. The rhythm of your breath is the rhythm of the cafe at night, slow and steady and calm. With every exhale, a little more tension leaves your body, drifting away into the quiet. The story is almost finished, but your rest is only beginning. You are safe. You are held. You are allowed to drift. If you are not yet asleep, you are very close, hovering at the soft edge where thoughts blur into dreams and the night hums with distant, gentle sounds. You can stay there as long as you like. There is no need to do anything at all. The Hidden Garden Café waits in the background of your mind, a small, glowing doorway you can step through whenever you wish to rest. Its lanterns are always lit for you. Its garden is always green and breathing. Its host always ready with a warm drink and a knowing smile. For now, though, there is nothing except the softness of this moment, the slow rise and fall of your breath, the deepening quiet around you, the soothing pull of sleep. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.